back with another episode of going over the homework for Accounting 2301. So, bringing you to this, again, you need to have these questions done, and hopefully these help you, give you a few tips. So either go through Blackboard or go through Connect site, and make sure you click Next. Again, we're going to say this, Chapter 6 homework is not a lot to it, but it does bring in a lot of the reconciliation. So, starting off again, you have the nice need to know videos. I would strongly encourage just to go ahead and watch these. It's always a good way to actually see what's going on. So through these, all done, and we actually get to question number 5. Now, 5 and 6 again are linked questions. So we need to see what's going on. So always make sure you read. So we're dealing with Del Gato. So the cat clinic. It deposits all of its cash receipts on the day when they receive, and it makes all cash payments by check. Okay, simple stuff right there. Nothing too big. At the close of business on June 30th, 2017, its cash account shows a $16,280 debit balance, while its bank statement shows $16,252. Now, of course, again, we're going to be going through the bank statement. As you can see, connects through a lot of blanks. But since that's the starting amounts that we're going to be doing with the reconciliation, remember, it's basically what's at the end of the month, what the balance is. Again, this says cash account, so we're going to put in the cash account. This one's all about the deposits in the bank, and there we go. Notice again, Connect is going to fill in numbers for the calculations. All we got to do is make sure we put the right stuff. So, now we go through A, B, C, and D. Now watch out, again, there's going to be plenty of hints as we go through. So you can always click the hint, the little poker chip right here, and it will give you again the video that you can go through and go step by step if you need that also. Okay, so starting off, A. Outstanding checks as of June 30th totaled $2,384. Well, it just gave us out. And if we know our formula from our notes or stuff like that, outstanding checks always decrease the bank statement balance. So we're going to look here. We're going to find outstanding checks, and we're going to put it in for whatever amount it is. For us, it's $2,384. Again, as you notice, our balance went down. We are deducting. Okay. Again, if you go through this process and you just feel like you don't know if you put it in the right spot, you can always hit check my work. Check my work will always help out. Again, I'll do the check marks just to show that you're on the right path. Again, don't just randomly put them there and check without understanding why it's wrong. If it is wrong, make sure you do understand this is the reason why. Alright, next part. June 30th bank statement lists a $75 service charge. Okay. When you look at bank reconciliation, see who's got it. Okay, so since this is coming from the bank statement, this means it is from the bank. So, with that being said, it probably means that the book hasn't shown it. So, anytime we have service charges, we know cash is going out to pay for it. So, we are going to have to deduct the service charge of a glorious 75 bucks. It's a lot of money for a service charge. Alright, C. Check number 919 listed with the canceled checks was correctly drawn. So again, when I see correctly drawn, that means the bank did it right. okay, for $389 in payment of a utility bill on June 15th. Delgado Clinic mistakenly recorded it with a debit to utilities expense and a credit to cash in the amount of $398. Alright, so let's go to the paint as it loads. Load. And I want to show you this. This is what's going on. Alright, so let's make this a little bit bigger. Alright, so what really happened is that using our fancy T-charts, so here comes our T-chart. So cash for this account, we accidentally put it in as 398 in the books. So right now it shows a credit of 398. So we're just looking at this transaction. In actuality, the bank correctly drawn for this account, this journal entry, at 389. So of course we still paid for it, but we paid it for like I said, T-charts work a lot if you just want to piece it together. And since we know we paid for it, still a credit of 389. So just looking at that transaction right there, we can already see that there's a difference. Two numbers got switched, the 8 and the 9. But if you look at it, looks like about $9. Looks around there. If you have to, you can go to your calculator. Take 398 minus 389. Yep, about $9. As we know that this is going down, again, the only way it can go down is if there's something on the other side. So the $9 has to be our missing number here. Again, the reason why we're going to do this T-chart is to show you with the journal entry also. So we're going to come back to this in a bit. But this helps me just piece out what's happening to this journal entry and this error. Of course, we know cash is never at an expense. But whenever we get one of these journal entries that's an error, you may just want to do a T-chart. May actually help you. So, since we know it's a debit right here to get down to 389, we're going to have to add that on our bank reconciliation. Again, all our additions are basically just debits to cash. So good old $9. Okay. So D's our last one. On June 30th, cash receipts of $2,346 were placed in the bank nightly deposit after banking hours and were not recorded on June 30th. So if we look here, this has to be deposits because it shows in the bank. So we're going to end up having deposits on June 30th. Again, we'll just put in the amount. So whenever we decide to make a deposit on the last day, we shouldn't expect it to actually show up on the bank statement. We're always going to have to increase that. So with this, once you put in all the numbers, before you even hit check my work, you can see the adjusted bank balance is right because they both balance. So we should already have everything in. And as you can see, perfect. Everything's good. Okay, so that's question 5. Let's move on to question 6. Okay, so question 6 says do the same thing, but do the journal entry. Or put no journal entry required. Now, if we know back from our notes, we only do journal entries based on the book side. So, if the question asks, should one of these have a journal entry? Those are going to be our no. So starting off, recording the adjusting entry related to outstanding checks. Well, of course, outstanding checks, we already know that's on the bank side, so there should be no journal entry. 2. Record the adjusting entry related to bank service charges if needed. Okay, this one we do know. This was on the book side. So again, this one was on the book side, bank service charge. And we see that it was a deduct. So when we do the journal entry, we know that it's going to end up being a credit to cash at least, because it's cash is going down of the 75, but it will be basically debit to probably miscellaneous expense, because I doubt that they have bank service charge. See, so we'll do miscellaneous expenses 75. Again, let's check if Connect is going to do it that way. Yep, miscellaneous expenses. Again, depending on what we can actually have, and I've seen this a lot with businesses, a bank service charge, but for Connect, it's only miscellaneous. Okay, now this is the error. Okay, so with the error, we've already know that we're going to debit cash, because either looking at the bank reconciliation, we know we add it. But if we did the T-chart, we already know that the journal entry is going to have a debit cash. So the credit is going to be for whatever item that we have. So here, it happens to be utilities expense. So if we do utilities expense, we have $9. And everything's good. And of course, again, that's for any outstanding deposits in transit. So again, no journal required, because that deals with the bank. Again, you can hit check my work. Boom, done. That's all simple and grand. So let's hit with the last question. Again, I told you chapter 6 isn't that hard with the actual statements. Again, simple bank reconciliation. So let's go through. Again, we have right company. Hit cash account shows $30,700. So since I'm dealing with cash account, we know to put $30,700. The bank statement shows $29,000. Okay, and now we can go through A, B, C, D, and E. Let's see what happens. First one, the May 31st bank statement. So again, this says that the bank statement, so the bank is showing something, lists $260 in bank service charges. The company has not recorded the cost of these services. So again, since this is $260 in bank service charges, we know cash was paid. But we never recorded it on the books. This shows up on the bank statement. Usually with any bank service charge, it's always going to be a deduction to the book, because again, we're never going to know this until basically the end of the month. So then we record the bank service charges. B deals with outstanding checks again, and we know outstanding checks only appear on the actual deductions of the bank statement. They only show on the bank balance, as we've already deducted them from the book. We just need to show it on the bank. So right now we still know we got work to do. Again, balances do not balance. Our goal is to make sure that they balance with the correct stuff. C, now we got cash receipts. So we know we received cash from here of $7,800. Again, they were placed in the bank on May 31st. So again, we shouldn't expect them to actually show up on the bank statement. And as you see, was not recorded on the bank statement. So once it tells me it was not recorded, it should tell me if it's going to be on the bank side or the book side. Since it was not recorded on the bank statement, we do probably May 31st deposit. Again, was not recorded on bank statement. So we need to put in that amount to show. And again, a deposit does increase your cash in the bank. Okay? Checks decrease your amount in the bank. Alright, so we're still not balanced. Well, let's go to D. In reviewing the bank statement, a $560 check written by Smith Company was mistakenly drawn against Wright's account. Watch out here. Okay? So, we need to see who made the error. Well, there's no transpose of numbers like we see. We haven't accidentally wrote in the books. Here, a check written by Smith Company. Our company's right, but the bank accidentally drew this against our account. So, as you can see, mistakenly drawn. So this means this is the bank's fault. So the bank's off on its money. What's this? Did they take out more of our money or did they deposit more? Here, it's a check. So they took out more. So that means they have to put more money back into our bank account because we're going to call them up and start complaining that what did you do with this 560? So of course the bank is going to rule in your favor, and their error, they're going to end up depositing that money back into your account. If you want to, I would always say you may want to wait on errors and wait till you get everything else in that you know, and then do the error, see which side has the difference. That's probably a good way to actually see. Okay? But since we know this check was written by the wrong company, and clearly we do know it was mistakenly drawn against our account, that we will end up getting a deposit back for that amount. Okay? So, E. The bank statement shows a 280 NSF check from a customer. The company has not yet recorded the NSF check. So, again with that, there's probably a fee associated to it, but they're not actually showing. So again, a NSF check is always going to be a deduction to the book, because we're going to have to pay out cash to cover that check. Well, again, look, they're in balance now. So that must mean we got everything in that we need. So we can always hit check my work, and boom, everything's good. So again, chapter 6, main focus is the bank reconciliation. But if you got a quiz or exam, especially in this class, you will need to brush up on the rest that's in the notes. So again, look over the lecture video just so that you can see what's going on. Okay? Well, that's it for chapter 6. Again, not very much. So, again, hopefully you learned something. If you have any questions, make sure you put it in. Again, notice that Connect throws a lot of blanks at you. Does not mean you need to fill them in. It's always going to be something like that. Okay? So, let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment below. If you suggest anything that I can do to make these videos better, again, put a comment below and we'll be good to go. Okay? Alright guys, have a good one.